Okay, so my name is Yoni Levy. I grew up in Israel, in Tel Aviv. Right now, I'm a student in Columbia University in the master program for human rights. People ask me, Yoni, what is your occupation? Human rights activist. That's what I do, human rights. Not a lawyer, activist. Back then, before I came over here in Israel, I was working for human rights organizations. One of them is Breaking the Silence. I even brought here one of the notebooks that we published. Basically what we do, what I used to do for Breaking the Silence, this organization collect stories and testimonies from ex-soldiers from the occupied territories. And by those stories, we tried to create like a picture of the occupation. Now, if you ask the average Israeli, what do you think about the occupation? Usually the answer will be, there's no occupation, what are you talking about? So this is where this organization, or me as a human rights activist, come into the picture to give some details, some guidelines, like what is the Israeli occupation in 2015. Well, you can imagine various response for that. Like I actually showed the Israelis an ugly picture of their society, so I had to face many resistance, many antagonism, and also in my family, my brothers or my parents were not big fan of me walking around and explain Israelis what does it mean occupation, or what the Israeli government do wrong with the Palestinian society. Now it really didn't bother them as long as I was doing this in Israel. But before I moved over here, the scope of this dilemma between me and especially my parents become bigger. For example, I remember 2 days before actually I flew over here, my mother actually caught me into a conversation during lunchtime. And she said, Yoni, when you are over there in Colombia, in New York, or whatever you do over there, because they really didn't understand what do I study? What does it mean to study human rights? So it's like, whatever you do over there, make sure you don't say anything bad about Israel, like you always do over here with your Israeli fellows. Well, my thesis is about freedom of expression. I'm a big fan of any freedom of thought, freedom of expression, freedom of belief. I don't think, basically nobody should tell me what to think or what to say or what to believe in, okay, even not my mother. So you can imagine what was my response. My response was, you're not gonna tell me what to say. Okay, I will say whatever I want, whenever I want, wherever I want. She got mad, I got mad, back, and after we just left it like that. It was 2014 in the summer. Then we didn't open it once again. But still there is some tension. Right now, I don't know if you know, but Israel is very intensive. Like the situation, the conflict is very, very intensive right now in Israel. And I actually heard from my cousin that my mother is really worried about me, and she worried that I do bad for the Israeli, the image of the states of Israel over here. Like she probably imagined me going around and protest against Israel or something like that. Although the opposite is different for the people who knows me. Like I love my country. Whatever I do for my country, and I consider myself a patriotic. I think that's it. This is my moral dilemma, moral question.
What specifically, because you're very confident and you know what you believe in. You said it to us right now. I am a staunch supporter of freedom of expression, freedom of thought, freedom of conscience. You know what your values are. Just like Nevena knows what her priority is. Her priority is the kids. But we know what her dilemma is. What dilemma are you in?
I guess I should think, instead of just get mad, I should think about tools or about way to bridge the conflict between me and especially my mother, or my father also, to try to negotiate, to try to explain them my point of view. just that sometimes I think like, okay, this is my family. They're supposed to support me no matter what, no matter who I am. I don't need to put effort to explain them my point of view or my side. And they know what is important for me. They know this is my career, or I already dedicate my life for this conflict, or for human rights, or for humanism. And I guess I will have to think like how, like, not to leave it like that. Like, okay, I don't care. They can be mad about me. I still have my principles, and I still have my courage, and I should follow that, and not. I think maybe I should consider their opinion.
Now, this is very interesting, because I'll tell you right now, when people begin to understand what moral courage is, or what moral courage means, the first thing, in my experience as a teacher of it, that people realize is, okay, it means stand for something. It means then speak your truth. And moreover, it means speak truth to power. The problem with just leaving it there is that there isn't only one kind of power in this world. Sure, an American can speak truth to power, meaning speak truth to Washington, D.C., or speak truth to the gun lobby, or, speak truth to the racists. Speak your truth to them. Okay, good. All of that is important. But those are external powers, outside of you. What Yoni does, he speaks truth to power, big time. But now, he's actually got a deeper dilemma, which is that there's a power within each of us that one could call ego. I have one. God knows I have one. Yoni's got one. And that is part of what allows us to do what we do, to have the confidence to do what we do. But what it also means is that we've got to figure out, how do we tame our egos enough so that we can listen to people who fundamentally disagree with us and learn from them. Learn maybe not what's wrong with us, maybe, because sometimes there is. Yoni himself told me, and he needed no prodding from me to say this. He told me earlier today, Irshad, I don't think I have all the answers. I know that, I don't have the capital T truth. I know what I believe, but I don't think that, everybody else is wrong. And that's wonderful. But the thing is that when you are needing to heal a divide between yourself and somebody whom you truly respect and love, somebody has to go first in saying, okay, I want to hear why you disagree with me. I want to hear where you're coming from, because you might be able to teach me something. And here's the beauty of this. Even if anything they say doesn't teach you anything in that moment, two things happen. One is it helps you clarify why you believe, what they just said, and it builds enough trust between you and that other person that down the road, they may be more willing to actually hear your point of view than they were at that moment, right? So that is, I love, I have to say, and I really do love the dilemma that Yoni finds himself in, because most people, when they think about changing the world, they think about standing up and clenching their fists and punching them in the air and shouting slogans, and somehow that's going to change the world. That's part of it, but that's even the lesser part of it, as I've come to learn. The bigger part is, how do you engage with those who you need to convince? Not preach to the choir, but bring those along who you need to convince. And shouting slogans at them only makes them more defensive about their positions and their disagreements with you. So the great thing is, Yoni is thinking more deeply than most social activists whom I have come into contact with think. And that is at least half the battle in making the kind of change, the world historical change, that Yoni wants to be a part of.